Hello, humans, and welcome to another episode of the Cartridge and Disc Podcast. That's right. Guys, I think now we can make it official, right? We can make it official. Phil Spencer dropped the news, and you know he was waiting for this one, right? Because this one felt personal to him. After all the smack talk that had been going around, after all the delays, right? This was his vision. This is what he wanted to do. This is really the direction that he's been wanting to take the company ever since he took over and really righted the ship. Let's face it, when the Xbox One came out, it was a disaster. They just bit off too much. And he righted the ship and remembered that it was all about the games, all about the gamers, and set the company in a new direction, set the brand, I should say, in a new direction, which is the Xbox brand. And today he made the announcement that must have felt amazing to him, right? After all this time. On his Twitter, Phil Spencer, the verified blue checkmark himself, we are pleased to announce that Microsoft and at PlayStation, tagged them, have signed a binding agreement to keep Call of Duty on PlayStation following the acquisition of Activision Blizzard. We look forward to a future where players globally have more choice to play their favorite games, right? Which in reality has always been his position from the very beginning. And guys, I think this signals a couple of things. One of them is that Microsoft is going to be more than content on being number 3 for the foreseeable future. They really don't care because, as I told you before, I think the vision of the company and who they actually consider their competitors, internally, not outwardly, right, but internally, they're in competition with Google, with Amazon, right, because there are the biggest rivals for their cloud business, which they see being the future of the video game industry in general. Absolutely. So will they ever be strictly just a software company? Well, Microsoft is a software company, right? That's what makes them so strong. So eventually Microsoft, somebody is going to say, hey, we got to pull back. We got to make the most amount of money. And we're going to do it by being a software company. So absolutely. At some point, these consoles are going to be becoming a thing of the past, especially as phones get more powerful, as technology changes. You could have a TV that's more than capable of running whatever game system. I don't know, maybe the TV is going to have video cards that you can upgrade. Who knows where technology goes, but the one thing that's going to be consistent is the software, right? And now Microsoft owns all these IPs, all these properties, all these studios, so they'll have the benefit of making content for years and years and years. Now when it comes to this, PlayStation basically secured the rights for Call of Duty, throughout the PlayStation 5's lifetime and probably a little bit beyond. But really, it was just a sign of just, taking the knee, taking the standing egg count, and just doing what they knew they had to do after losing the battle. If you ever want to talk about big losers in this whole, debacle, it has been Sony and the FTC. But so Sony especially, because not only did they divulge their strategy going forward by not, by not blocking those documents properly, by not inking them out properly, and people mining their data by just, looking at those scans and those, the poor job that they did, but by also, asking for all this paperwork and all this information. And of course, Microsoft had to say why this and that and the other, which in turn made them reveal news about Nintendo. So, right now, the folks at Sony are not looking well within the industry. So I think, going forward, you're not going to see a lot more of these. I don't know that Microsoft is going to buy any more larger studios like this. They're probably going to go for some smaller ones. I think they have enough big ones. But they really should target some Japanese developers for sure. But it's interesting to see that Sony had to take the loss on this. This is the L, right? There is no other way about it. I mean, Sony has been winning this console war between the two, right? Because Nintendo's been selling console. Technically, they released a lot more, but they're doing well. You know, Nintendo's even outselling the PlayStation sometimes with their old system. But overall, the PlayStation 5 has been a success and is the leader, right? Is the leader by far in this console war. So it's a shame that they really had to go this way and try to fight this fight, which was unnecessary. You know, if you really look at Microsoft's business plan, Sony could have taken care of this another way. Just make this, the same negotiation could have been made before, and Microsoft would have given it to them, because their interest in the long run, believe you me, is to have the Game Pass on the PlayStation. There will be a future that will happen, just like we never thought we'd see Sega products on Nintendo. The same thing is going to happen here. It's just the nature of business. Mergers, acquisitions, you know, companies becoming larger and swallowing smaller companies. It's really the nature of business. And this is not it. As the economy gets tighter, as things, you know, become tougher and tougher out there for these developers, for these larger studios, you're going to see some of these going up for sale, because it's, you know, if you look at it now, it's, by what we learned, you're looking at $250 million to produce a AAA game that you don't know is going to make you the money back. It's a huge gamble. So Sony, now what they have to do is focus on their strategy, which is going to be trying to find their own Fortnite, you know, trying to find their own Roblox. I don't know what that's going to be, but they're going to put billions to work on that. 40% of their development budget, or their R&D, is going to go straight into that. So they're betting big on that, and that's the only way they can see themselves competing against Microsoft long term, you know, with their Game Pass service. Their service is just not as good. It just doesn't work as well. You know, when you try the two, the side by side, it's just no equal, right? But they do have some good properties there. They could develop and do a decent service eventually. But now Microsoft has a big task up ahead, right? We have Starfield coming up. We have a lot of new releases. I know sooner rather than later, they're going to put a lot of these properties up on the Game Pass, because they really want to pump that up. They're putting the dollar special out there to bring you in, to entice you in, and then hook you for the $17 a month, and that's really what they want. But in the end, you know, good for Phil, right? He got to take his victory lap. PlayStation had to bend the knee, and now it's finally over, and we move forward. And let's see what the future holds. All right, guys, I will catch you on the next one. Take care.